On the back of the pelvic girdle here, there's these muscles that are controlling the thigh. And so when you're looking for actions, you've got to remember that this is thigh and then leg, right? So the gluteus maximus is on your big fat portion of your butt, and because it's behind the thigh, it extends the thigh. If you say extend leg in a bubble, you'll get it wrong, right? Okay. Gluteus medius is more toward the side of the hip, so that pulls the thigh outward. That would be abducting the thigh. Then there's one more muscle right here on the side of the hip. This is called tensor fasciae latae. And the tensor fasciae latae, when it contracts, it tenses this fascia, which is a tendon. Okay, that's just another word for the tendon. And that tendon's hooked all the way down here below your knee, so when it shortens, it locks your knee. That's the action. As we're moving around the front of the thigh, another landmark muscle is this muscle that you only really see a triangle of here, right in your groin area. That's called the pectineus muscle. And pectineus on these models and on the images are always by the blood vessels. Okay? Now, on the other side of that, there's a muscle group that's attached to the spinal cord and the ilium of the coxal bone. That's called iliopsoas. The P is silent, iliopsoas. And when they come together and anchored here in the thigh, you only really see this piece on the other side of those blood vessels. Now, all the muscles that are going toward your inner thigh pull the thigh toward themselves, so they're adducting. They're adding to the midline. And the muscle then that I use as a landmark is gracilis. Gracilis really does look like a belt. It's more rounded here. I've seen it on cadavers. It's like a thick belt. And it runs right along underneath the inner seam of your pants. On the anterior side of the gracilis is a long muscle. That's the adductor longus. Deep in your inner thigh there, this is adductor magnus, and it's not just one muscle, it's several muscles that are anchored onto the femur, to pull it inward here. This other muscle right here is the sartorius, and the sartorius is anchored from your hip across your thigh all the way down to your leg. So it can do several actions. It eventually helps you sit cross-legged. It can do all the actions to help you sit cross-legged. And sartorius is related to a tailor. So tailors used to sit by the light of a candle sewing, and that's how this muscle got its name. Okay, off. I just was talking.